Animation is one of the features that can make or break pretty much any game. To help us all out, there are some guidelines for animation described in the book The Illusion of Life, otherwise known as Disney's 12 Principles of Animation. A lot of YouTubers already dealt with these principles, so this video is about a key process used in any animation and how to implement it in Unity. Hello and welcome to I Create My Games. I'm Jens, and this time we're talking about tweening. For everyone unfamiliar with this word, tweening is the abbreviation of in-betweening. In short, it describes the act of interpolating an object between two states, otherwise known as keyframes. This means an example square doesn't simply jump from point A to point B, but rather moves between them over time. In Unity, there are multiple ways to animate things. You could either use the animation window, use a script to implement the linear interpolation or Lerp functions, or you could use a third-party tweening asset. I prepared 3 demo scenes with each 3 cubes, one at position A, one at B, and one which does the interpolation. So let's first create the animation with the Unity animator. In short, this means we verify that we have the animation and animator window. Then inside our animation, we create an animation clip. And here we position to 60 because I'm using 60 samples and I want it to last exactly 1 second. So I position the cube, make sure that the color is also recorded, but since I don't know the exact color, I need to copy the value and I don't have a way to reference it. So the color is set, then that is already the basic animation. So if I hit play, it's animating from left to right. Now in the animator, I need to make sure that I have a default state, so I don't start with the animation or loop the animation constantly, but rather have nothing to do at the beginning. Now between those states, the animation and the default, I need transitions and I want to trigger them with a trigger, so I call it start, and make sure that in the conditions I use that trigger and not an exit time or anything else. Now for the opposite direction, I make sure that it has an exit time, so after the animation is played, I will switch back to the default state. And now if I hit the start, it's already working. Now inside my script, I make sure that I have the animator. I get the animator as a component. I listen to the left mouse click, and now if I hit play, it's animating. Now for the linear interpolation between those two images, first of all, we need a reference to those images. Keep in mind that if you are using images, you need to include the UI library. Now, for the own image, of course, I need a reference. Then I need a variable to know if I'm already interpolating and how much time has passed since I started. Now in the start method, I get the image reference. Now it's a child component, so I need to get the child first. And then the image, of course. Now for the update method, I verify if I'm currently pressing the mouse button to start everything up. If that's the case, the started boolean will be set to true, so I'm starting, and the time is set to 0. Now, if everything is started, I simply increase the time with the delta time. Every time I do this, then I use the vector linear interpolation method to interpolate between the two positions of A and B, and use the time passed as a reference of how much I changed. The color does exactly the same with the color linear interpolation between these two images. And if I'm over 1, the time I want to use, I just simply stop, so I set a started to false. Now if I switch back, I can verify that it works without a problem. So if I set the reference for A and B and hit start, I simply hit the mouse button and I'm moving to the side. Now the cool thing is, if I now reposition B, it's still working because the positions are relative. For third-party assets, we first need to take a closer look at the assets available. Now I looked through some forums and the most prominent ones are doTween, leanTween, and iTween. I personally use doTween because it's the one most recently updated, plus it uses extension methods, sequences, and a lot of features I like to use very much. I've seen other YouTubers use leanTween, and it seems to be a very good option as well. Depending on what your need as feature set, you should use this one or doTween. I did also see a lot of input for iTween, and if I can trust the forum entries, I wouldn't recommend this one because it doesn't seem to be the best option performance-wise. But again, do your own research because all of these come with a subset of important features and you should pick the one which is most suited for your needs. Now the setup is pretty much the same. I do need to include the asset, of course, in my case DG Tweening. Now referencing the images is the same, but I did include an easing and a duration, while I will get to later. Now I will need, of course, a reference to my own image as well, like before, and I will need to grab that in the start method, just like before, so I get the first child of my transform and then get the component image to access this image information. Now in the update method, I verify that I'm clicking the left mouse button with the same method as before, but now I need to make sure that I set everything to the first or initial position, since with the tweening I only set the final and the duration as well as the easing, and it doesn't include the start position. Now for the tweening, I join two things. The first one is the transform movement with do move and the final position, the duration and the easing, as I said before. And then I include the next one, again joining the things with the do color. I say what color I want to have as the final color, again with a duration and an easing. Now I only need to make sure that it plays. And the cool thing here is that they are using extension methods, so it's the basic transform and the basic image. I don't need to change anything, and I can use these methods from the doTween library. Now inside Unity, I need to reference the images, of course, and when I hit play and hit the left mouse button, it does exactly as I did. Now the easing changes the animation quite a lot actually, depending on what easing function I want to use. One very common for different scenarios would be the sine function, but you can test out a few different things depending on your preferences. And with that, we're done for this video. For everyone interested in the before mentioned principles of animation, I link a video by AlanBeckerTutorials in the description, which I found very informative. If you still got time after that, feel free to check out one of my other videos, and if you haven't subscribed yet, now is a great time to do so. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.